And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda commences tonight's satsang with a Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We begin with mystic song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is based on a poem by Swamiji. It's called O Heavenly Bliss Unfold.
Like the blooming of lotus flowers and the soft wind of spring showers. Oh, heavenly bliss, unfold, unfold, like the flying light of the moon, or the cool rain on a rose in bloom. I have read the wintry night and the dark imprisoned memories. I will see the rising of the radiant sun on the golden mountains of wisdom. No fear, a glory untold. Behold the secret of eternity.
We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is February the 16th, 2021, Tuesday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Yoga Vasistha. This is series 2018, class number 314. And now Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrish Tattvamasyadilaksham ekam nityam vimalamachalam sarvadhi sakshi bhutam bhavatihitam trigunarahitam sadgurum tam namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Nirvana Prakarana Purvardha, Section 55. Atma Gyan gives liberation. And that's a topic from the Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And presently that's the context. Sage Vasistha is giving the essence of the Gita to Lord Rama. Sri Bhagavan Krishna said, O Arjuna, a wise man should neither reject the enjoyments of the objects nor go after them. He should maintain a balanced mind in gain and loss. You have to understand in a profound way when say we should neither reject nor accept. First point, different situations present in your life led by your karma. So every situation that you face will pass away. So therefore, if you become stuck to a particular situation, that will bring a lot of trouble for your personality. And similarly, if you become completely sunk in despair because of a negative situation, that again is another great error. When you say, neither should you accept nor you should reject. Reject. Enjoyments are coming to you, if you take it literally, and then you have heard from Yoga Vasistha, you should not reject them. That's the childish stage of interpreting scripture. It is not to go that way. The meaning behind it, that a prosperous situation has come, don't reject it. Utilize it for serving the purpose of your life. And it goes both ways. Utilize your adversity. View it as austerity. And you are gaining spiritual strength as you face your adversity. Similarly, utilize your prosperity. Life is a tremendous opportunity for attaining enlightenment. Prosperity has given room for a relaxed mind. You are not thinking of problems. So why not think of who am I? Why not pave the way to enlightenment? So neither should adversity distract you from the purpose of your life, nor prosperity should lead you away. That's some subtle meaning behind it. And if you have developed that type of outlook, you will enjoy serenity of your mind. Otherwise, you don't know what serenity means. And serenity of mind is also described as balanced mind, samatva buddhi. The deeper level of your mind, a deeper understanding in your heart remains unruffled. You continue to be devoted to your spiritual movement. The mortal body is in the category of the not self. You should not become identified with it. You are the immortal self, devoid of birth, death, and modifications. Thus should you reflect and meditate. And the highlighted insights must develop in your mind that you are not the mortal body. Here again, it doesn't mean that you ignore your physical reality. Face your physical reality. If you are properly facing it, rendering your body healthy, you will be always in a state of being free from body identity. If body is sick, you have more body identity, even to get up from a chair. You are aware of your body. But if you are healthy, you don't know when were you seated and when you got up. It's just a humorous way I'm telling. But even that great ideal is not practical. Everyone has certain problems with the body. But in spite of all that, your mind must go on working upon the deep understanding that I am not the body. Give your body all the body needs from practical point of view to help the body to be healthy. But a profounder health must be promoted by you by understanding I am not the body and I will live my life not to enter into the body again. No more body. The body is not your real self. You should not become identified with it. You are the immortal self, devoid of birth, death, and modifications. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. These are modifications: birth, death, old age, diseases. All these relate to the body, not to your real self. Thus should you reflect and meditate. With the destruction of the body, nothing is destroyed. But with the destruction of the soul, all is destroyed. Try to understand what is most important in your personality. You are a blend of soul and body. This is the language in the realm of ignorance. While you are deluded, that's your simple view. The view I am body, a little more intelligent, oh, I am a soul, and I am with the body. Now try to see how you face death. First point to understand, death is for your body, not for your soul. Second point you have to understand, the soul does not die. Soul is essentially Brahman. So mind is drawn to the truth in two steps. First, the soul will not die, even though the body dies. What will happen to the soul? The soul will take new bodies. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naro parani. Just like old clothes you remove and go on putting new clothes, the soul goes on putting new bodies. So body is completely in the realm of not self. But when you are come to this understanding, I am soul that never dies, and I continue to move from body to body, and I will never die. I will be always there. As your soul, nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dhati pavaka, nothing of the world, all the destructive elements cannot hurt your soul in this journey to pursue the path of karma. But do not let your understanding stay in this level. The soul in reality is Brahman, the Absolute. So your purpose is not to improve your rebirth. Of course, if you don't have enlightenment, it's a better project. Improvement, that's a practical reality. But while you go on improving yourself, try to focus on the deepest purpose of your life. Who am I? Attain liberation. Be free from the cycle of birth and death. When the mind is tainted by ignorance, it causes attachments to the objects of the world. The impressions of raga, in turn, give rise to sense of doership. It is conditioned mind. Mind becomes, conditioned mind is a product of ignorance, avidya. So led by ignorance, your mind creates the illusion that the objects of the world are real, and they give you support, comfort, and happiness. This illusion of the mind needs to be corrected. Mind has to be enlightened. This predicament of the mind is because of malin vasanas, impure subtle desires or impure subtle impressions in the unconscious. Your mind is not under your control because the unconscious controls your conscious mind. So, if you stay attached to the body, you are developing illusion of doership. I am the doer. I am the enjoyer. I am the possessor. This doership, enjoyership, the ship business is a horrible predicament. This attachment continues to cause the illusion of doership. So do not live to continue to intensify your doership, enjoyership. And that's the subtle purpose behind mantras. When you say Namah, neither me nor mine, thereby you are negating, I am not the doer, God is the doer. I am not the enjoyer, God is enjoying through this instrument of the body mindset. The role of ego is illusory. In your dream you do so many things, but the very dream subject doesn't exist. So what happens to the doership and the enjoyership? The ship gets wrecked forever. A knower of the self can never see the destruction of the self. The term destruction doesn't exist. Again, the simile of the sky. Sky and clouds. Self is like the sky, Chidakash. All things that develop in this world, they are like clouds. And the sky is untouched and unaffected. How can the self observe its own termination? Okay, you have to give me space.
Talking when he's giving his lecture, when he's sitting there, it's this right that I can't go together, I can't go down. Go halfway and stop.
You switch off the microphone, right?
Yeah.
Computer blacked out.
You did the intermission, right?
What's that?
You did.
Yeah. I did it too late.
A knower of the self can never see the destruction of his self. He views the self by the self. Uddharet atmanatmanam. You must rescue yourself by yourself. It's subtle philosophical teaching. Nobody other than you can rescue yourself. But when you say yourself, turn your attention to two aspects of the self: higher self, lower self. Higher self, that highlights being good, doing good. Higher self highlights the movement. Dhamma, controlling the mind and senses. Dana, charity. Daya, compassion. If the movement is highlighted, who assimilates it? That's higher self. And if the movement is negated, dispelled, what does it? The lower self. So allow your higher self, increase your Dhamma, control of mind and senses, increase your charity, increase your compassion. By doing that, you are allowing the higher self to be strengthened. When higher self is strong, It will not allow the lower self to degrade it. But when higher self is not strong, the opposing movement, the movement that opposes Dhamma, Daya, Dan, that movement will obstruct your attainment of your goal. Arjuna said, O divine Krishna, according to this wisdom, when an ignorant person loses his body, he doesn't in fact lose his real self. Is this so? Lord Krishna answered, yes, it is indeed so. O Arjuna, the self is indestructible. This point has to be hammered again and again on your mind, day by day, that you are not the body. And bodily related realities, they are going to pass away. So what are you doing for your inner spiritual development? That must be the task presented before you day by day. From broader point of view, your attention to turn your life into a process of integral yoga. Everything about you, your action, your emotion, your will, your reason, all these must become a process of yoga. The loss of the body does not affect the imperishable self. The concepts of loss and gain exist in the realm of ignorance. Just as various perceptions arise during a dream, so one continues to entertain the illusory notion of birth and death. These are great experiences in life: birth, death, disease. But insight must be gained that even in your dream, all things that you experience in daily life, similar experiences occur. And in dream, you become deeply involved in experiencing misery as well as enjoyment until you wake up. In brief, all things that are seem to be so highlighted, so much news go on breaking every moment, and you still wonder of wonders, your head doesn't break. Because all this is kind of a dream experience. Devoid of truth, the world cannot exist. Non-existence has no reality. Satyameva jayate. Truth alone triumphs. Dream cannot continue to exist. It will vanish. You have to wake up. The world process is a long dream, and that again cannot continue. You must wake up. Therefore realize that self by which this apparent world is pervaded, even as the ocean pervades all its waves, or gold pervades all its ornaments. All the names and forms of the world that go on changing, they are like waves. The truth is like the ocean. Golden ornaments having different names and forms, and to human mind having different values. They are nothing but gold. So similarly, all this that you experience is ultimately Brahman, the Absolute. The self is one and infinite. It is impossible for the self to give rise to duality. The study of scripture should not give you all the evolution that is described by scriptures is not a kind of history that once there was Brahman, he was a non-dual. And then something entered his mind. I'm alone. Let me create. So he starts creating. It is impossible for the self to give rise to duality. So that's not real. The idea Brahman alone was, and then he created the duality of the world. Duality or multiplicity, both are synonyms. So allow to have your mind turn to that understanding that Brahman alone is real. And that Brahman is the truth, ever-present reality. It is not going to happen someday, but it is here and now. While you are dreaming, your expectations are to be fulfilled in course of time. If not today, tomorrow, if not tomorrow, day after. But the reality behind your dream is that dream is illusion. So what you thought of past, what are you thinking of present, what are you thinking about the future? All these thoughts are involved with multiplicity as a result of ignorance. This ignorance is neutralized by the thought of non-duality, the thought that all these are transient. Nothing exists, nothing belongs to me. I am neither mind nor body. Immortal self am I. But in order to switch your attention from the practical reality of the world to the spiritual, mystical reality, all is Brahman, what's needed is integral yoga highlighted by devotion to God. love plays a great part in your heart. But love for the world is called moha, deluded love. Love for God is the real love. So how to see the difference between delusional type of love and the real love? By different degrees you continue to move towards the reality of love, which implies love of God. And love of God implies love of the self, the absolute self. Love for your own self. And your own self is absolute self. Every reflected sun in a jar of water is in reality the sun. So that type of love that goes on shining brighter and brighter, that culminates in the experience of non-duality. I am that. लाली देखन मैं चली मैं भी हो गई लाल. You went out with the idea of enjoying increasing love. And ended up, you yourself became the embodiment of love. In the terms of vichara movement, vichara inquiry, while bhakti movement is love God and allow your ego to be dissolved. Jnana movement, inquire into who am I, and allow your egoism to be effaced. Both are one and the same, two aspects. And both aspects must be practiced. Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Arjuna asked, O Lord, how does this experience, I am dead, arise in a human being? How does a soul experience a hell or a heaven after death? Arjuna wants to have insight into the law of karma. And Sri Krishna replied, O Arjuna, Jiva, the individual soul, exists in the body consisting of 5 elements due to its identification. Soul has nothing to do with elements. Just like the sky has nothing to do with the clouds. But the soul has become identified with the body, which consists of 5 elements: ether, air, fire, water, earth. These elements are described as tanamatras, subtle root elements. All the detail is not necessary at this stage. So, body that consists of elements, that's not you. As a result of this identification with the not self is the body, the soul experiences pleasure and pain in life, as well as heaven and hell. Identity with the body is caused by ignorance, and it is intensified by repeated affirmation in your mind. Day by day, body is highlighted in your mind. If you are doing a sadhana, then there is an opposing movement. Day by day, you are asserting, I am not the body, I am not the mind. Day by day, you are turning your heart to God, that I am thine, I am a ray of God, I must grow in the great image of God. By twofold spiritual movement, bhakti and jnana, you negate body identity. If you don't practice those twofold movement, you are intensifying body identity. When body identity is intensified, then what do you look for in your life? Pleasure and pain. Life gives you pleasure and pain in a restricted measure. But after death, until you come back to next embodiment, there is an interval. That interval, you experience pleasure and pain in an unrestricted manner. Try to understand this subtle point. While alive, nature has caused certain restrictions. You cannot be extremely happy. There is a restriction. Nature will not allow that. Or you cannot be extremely miserable. The moment you come to that state, you faint. You have heart failure. That's why people are careful, giving a message that is extremely joyous, as well as a message that is extremely pathetic. So before you give this type of news, you ask the person, sit down, take your tea, pat your head, and then you give the message. Your nervous system is not restricting your happiness or your pain. Nervous system is restricting your happiness. But after death, you don't have dependence on nervous system. You are in the subtle plane. And therefore, now, led by your karma, good karma will give you heavenly experience. And heavenly experience has its own degrees, but one thing you are safe, you will not pass away. Because you have amazing capacity to enjoy. Enjoying dishes of food, you have always a restriction. So much calories you can have, not any more. In heaven, not so. If you are enjoying a dish, consider sweet milk. Not only one cup. The ocean will give you a whole ocean. Drink it. And you have no restriction because you are not working with the stomach. So, and same thing applies to painful experience. Good karmas give you happiness, but happiness is limited by your physical personality. And things that give you, karmas that give you pain, the pain is limited also. Pleasure and pain both are limited as human being. And that's a kind of blessing. After death, until you are reborn, you are open to experiencing boundless pleasure and boundless pain. Boundless pleasure is called swarga. Boundless pain, that's called narak, hell. Heaven and hell, you are always experiencing. But as long as you are alive, whispers of heaven and hell. During the time of interval between death and rebirth, in the time when you are in the celestial plane, now you have the possibility of heaven or hell led by your karma. But you need to understand the soul that experiences heaven and hell is led by karma. Soul that is enlightened has destroyed all karmas. And has attained liberation, moksha. So until you attain moksha, this is your predicament. Good karmas will give you heavenly experience. But then you will come back into repeated embodiment. Negative karma will give you hellish experience. And again, you will come back to repeat negative karmas as well as cause positive karmas. In order to improve this matter, you need to have the insight into vasanas, subtle desires, the type of vasana that operates, that is responsible for your heaven or for your hell. Pleasure and pain, the root lies in your vasanas. And the root behind the vasanas is ignorance. But first, work upon your vasanas. Vasanas are two types: sadvasana, asadvasana, shuddha vasana, ashuddha vasana, shubha vasana, malin vasana, good vasana, bad vasana. Good vasana, first understand the bad type of vasana. Vasanas that are based upon kleshas, 5 kleshas: ignorance, egoism, attachment, hatred, fear of death. If these are intensified, the vasanas that develop in your unconscious, they will keep you busy with a world of pleasure and pain, heaven and hell. Imagine, allow your mind to stretch its imagination as far as you can think of the world system. There wasn't a time when you were not, and there will not be a time when you will not exist. How many things you have gone through. You just think of this life. And that itself, even in single life, you have lots and lots of experiences. Even your mind can't handle it. Think of all that has gone on in like an unending process. But good news, all this has been in like a kind of a dream. And with this I will conclude. Om Ram 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 Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Ras of grace of God over all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukh Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Are there any questions? Sriram?
Pranam Gurudev. Gurudev, you described that this realized sage experiences the self by the self.
Yes.
So does that
Realize not realize self, not the sage sadhaka. Realize one who has attained realization is one with Brahman. But one who is going towards realization has to save himself. You have fallen into a well and look around for help and there is nobody there. Then use your head. Rescue yourself by yourself. That subtle point has to go deep in your heart. That ultimately you are the one that will rescue yourself. Others may give you good wishes, blessings, but you can have lots of all that and it will not really help you. They help you in another way. They help you to encourage you to lift yourself by yourself. That's the purpose of blessings and goodwill. But ultimately you have to lift yourself.
So, Gurudev,
And once you have lifted yourself, you are self-realized.
so Gurudev, in that state, when the sage views the self by the self, there is no triputi, there is no subject, object, drishta or drishti. Is that what it means? That there is no
I have to understand. Higher attainment at the level of intuitive knowledge, is a truth relating to the deepest core of your personality. The truth has been settled in the person who is enlightened. But his personality follows everything that's normal for the world. So, he is not operating to attain liberation. He is just like wafting fragrance. A flower has blossomed, but now it is not operating to blossom anymore, but it is automatically radiating. As long as it's there, physical personality will radiate goodness. But that's from advanced point of view. From practical point of view, you don't worry about whether you are enlightened or not, but continue to be both ways. Continue to practice your sadhana, be good. Practice sadhana, I am Brahman. At the same time, go to your office and do your duty there. Do your duties as karma yoga, in the spirit of adoring God.
Gurudev, I have one more question. You described that the self is incapable of causing duality.
Yes.
So when we say that the universe, the vibhuti yoga, is that just the devotional aspect?
Understand, the sun is incapable of creating another sun. How miserable. So, but at the same time, you see countless suns. All those suns are Maya. Self didn't create it. Sun didn't create it. Sun alone is, doesn't need to create it. That's the subtle meaning behind it.
So, just last thing, Guruji. Is that same as Ajatavada?
Yes. Yes, if you come to that level of teaching, then that's called Ajatavada. But you have to have the teaching depending upon the quality of aspirant. Yeah.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Tonight we're announcing a slight change in the schedule starting this Sunday. The Gita class will be at 7:30 instead of the 5:30 that we've had for quite a while. So all of Swamiji's regular night classes now will be at 7:30, from 7:30 to 8:30.
Om Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Yeah.
Thank you, Swamiji.
It's good.